Hi everybody, it's great to be with you today, and for those of you who I have not met personally, I'm Bruce King. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was a classroom teacher for 11 years, most of it in high school social studies. My last year in the classroom was at 5th grade in Quito, Ecuador. I've been a student and colleague of Fred Newman and a researcher on studies out of Wisconsin since the 90s that looked at the extent of authentic intellectual work and its impact on student learning, and also a member of the advisory group to 2 studies in Australia that replicated our work. Since 2007, it's been a great privilege to partner with the Iowa Department of Education, AEAs, and many schools to help build teaching capacity for the benefit of all students. I'd like to start by expressing my deep and sincere thanks to you for your ongoing commitment to AIW, for your dedication to your own and your schools, your districts, or your AEA's learning, and importantly, for your efforts to improve the instructional core across grades and subject areas. You may have heard recently of a court decision in Connecticut in which the judge ordered a major overhaul of the state school system. This in a state with the highest average reading scores in the country for 4th and 8th graders on the 2013 National Assessment of Education Progress, or NAEP. As the New York Times article stated, after the decades of lawsuits about equity and adequacy in education financing, after federal efforts like No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top, after fights over the Common Core standards and high-stake testing, and the tug-of-war between charter schools and community schools, the stubborn achievement gaps between rich and poor, minority and white students persist. Maybe that's because we're not, in general, working on the right stuff. You all are, and I applaud that. It is teachers' interactions with students with high-level content that makes the biggest difference for higher and more equitable outcomes for diverse learners, as well as prepare students for college and career. I know these goals are a huge priority for you and for Iowa schools in general. One of your learning targets for the cohort this year is to develop more familiarity with the body of research supporting AIW. I mentioned the studies in Australia, and from one of them, we have results that show students with low socioeconomic backgrounds who receive higher levels of authentic tasks and instruction outperform students from high SES backgrounds. We never see that. It is a total break with the usual outcomes of schooling in the US and elsewhere, where background characteristics like income, race or ethnicity, disability, language largely predicts outcomes. Most instructional approaches reinforce and reproduce social inequalities and privilege. For me, this is even more evidence of the power of AIW to break this pattern and advance equity and excellence in education. Many of you know the importance of teachers taking control of their learning in AIW team meetings and the importance of teacher leadership. I wish Wisconsin had something like you all do in the TLC system. To me, there is obvious coherence between AIW and TLC. I'll reference the TLC system's framework for learning supports here. The design and delivery of professional learning, cultivation of skills associated with effective dialogue with colleagues, implementation of research and best practice in content, instruction, and assessment, facilitation of data analysis and data-informed decision-making. I'll add here that we really have to help school leaders move away from relying on standardized test results as the main, or what's common here, the only source of data for analysis and decision-making. I know you'll learn about conducting classroom implementation profile observations and the task-student work correlations, as well as utilizing innovation configuration maps for AIW to help you with that. And finally, facilitation and enactment of a vision for school improvement with teacher leadership as a point of leverage. AIW and TLC work well together. I know there is a lot of solid AIW experience already in your cohort, and I encourage you to put on your growth mindset and learn from your colleagues. Your collaborative spirit, educators coming from across the state to further their learning and advance AIW, is extremely rare. And as you all know, it's not about the score or doing it right, but rather high-level, substantive conversations to generate collective and in-depth understanding. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you today, at least virtually. I look forward to some live interactions in January and March, and in person on June 16th. If you haven't already, I encourage you to take a look at the new edited volume, How Schools and Districts Meet Rigorous Standards Through Authentic Intellectual Work, Lessons from the Field. Of the 8 case study chapters, 5 of them focus on the Iowa experience. You're in the hands of great AIW leaders with Susie and Tina and Katie for the Learning and Leading Cohort. Our divorce from the Center for AIW, long overdue I might add, Tina, Susie's, and Katie's ongoing efforts, the work of the Iowa AIW Consortium and the Iowa Coaches Network, as well as the more local leadership of some AEAs and your schools and districts, will have great benefits for advancing AIW in the state. It is a tough time to be in education, but it's a great time to make a difference. Have a great day.